Chapter 21, Ethan. At the police station, Teddy is placed in a holding cell. Officer Wolf wants to frighten him and to allow him to sober up. Meanwhile, Officer Wolf takes the rookie into a conference room at the station. "What happened out there, Jake?" sternly asked Officer Wolf. "I saw him reach for his bag and I thought he was going to pull out a weapon," replies Rookie Jake. "Why did you think that?" "He just looked like he was going to get a weapon." "I don't know why. I don't know why," confesses Jake. "Ethan's a great kid. I really hope he makes it," says the officer. "Here, you need to fill out this incident report." The officer slaps the paper down on the table and leaves the room. After 3 hours, Teddy is released after a verbal warning with the threat of a formal charge next time he is drunk and disorderly. One of the fraternity brothers comes and picks Teddy up from the station and drives him to the hospital to see Ethan. On the ride over to the hospital, Teddy sees video of the incident out on Facebook. He is furious. Ethan is in the intensive care unit. Destiny was able to visit with him as his sister for a moment until the nurse realized Destiny could not provide Ethan's parents' contact information. So, Destiny had to come clean and tell them she isn't Ethan's sister. Destiny is able to contact the basketball coach who did have the information. When Teddy arrives at the hospital, many members of the basketball team are already there in the waiting room. Many have seen the video and felt Teddy should shoulder some of the blame for his behavior. The coach is briefly allowed to see Ethan, but Ethan still is unresponsive. The doctors are not providing any information to anyone until Ethan's parents arrive. The coach's usual confident and encouraging appearance seems more consequential and defeated to his players when he returns to the waiting room. A few of the players leave to find the chapel in the hospital, while others leave to go home, seemingly concluding the worst has happened. The waiting room is now filled up with the guys from the fraternity. Holly also arrived at the hospital to find out how Ethan is doing and to give Destiny a ride back to campus. Holly finds Destiny in the chapel with some of the basketball players. Destiny is visibly upset. Holly tries to console her. While in the chapel, Holly says a prayer for Ethan and then takes Destiny back to the campus. Back in the waiting room, Teddy is pacing the floor. He really can't take the waiting, so he leaves the waiting room and bursts through the doors of the ICU. He walks around the nursing station, which is located in the middle of the floor. As he looks for Ethan feverishly, a nurse is quietly calling for him to stop, which he ignores. Finally, Teddy sees Ethan. He is hooked up to all types of equipment. His eyes are closed, and he is still unconscious. The nurse finally catches up to Teddy and informs him he has to leave. She and an orderly escort Teddy back to the waiting area. The fraternity brothers crowd around Teddy to see what he was able to find out. Teddy relays what he saw before he was kicked out. His description is one of hopelessness. "My goodness, I can't believe this is happening," comments one fraternity brother. "I know. Ethan seems to be so unlucky. First the rape allegations, now getting tased," offered another fraternity brother. "I don't understand why the cop tased Ethan in the first place. I figured you should have gotten tased, Teddy. You're the one throwing cans, yelling 'I am not a father,'" comments Cho, as he looks over at Teddy. Yeah, Teddy, what is that all about? Who'd you almost knock up, laughs a fraternity brother. Who was it? Kimberly? Allison? Or what's that Indian girl's name? Jokes another guy. Teddy is just looking straight ahead, ignoring his frat brothers. Annoyed with their disrespect, he lashes out. Just shut up. You guys really need to go home. Look, man, we're sorry. But come on, Teddy. We were just trying to lighten the mood. It's been a rough couple of hours, offers Cho. But you're right. We probably should get going. Text us later if you get any updates on Ethan. As each of the frat brothers leave the room, they either pat Teddy on the back or give him a soft fist bump. While looking at the doorway as they exit, Teddy sees Mr. and Mrs. Duncan fly by on their way to the ICU. Teddy calls after them, but Mr. Duncan looks at Teddy and indicates, not now. Teddy is left alone in the waiting room, just thinking to himself. He pulls out his cell phone and plays the video of the incident. There are so many videos of the encounter from every angle because everyone had their cell phones out recording it. He plays multiple versions repeatedly, trying to understand the reason the officer tased his friend. Teddy tries to make the case that the rookie's aim was off, and he accidentally got Ethan. But in multiple angles, it is clear the rookie is looking directly at Ethan. He looks at Ethan's expression, which shows he is complying with the officer's instructions to get back. Teddy is completely frustrated. What in the world is wrong with me? Teddy says to himself. Why am I trying to justify the actions of this cop against my best friend? My best friend who is about to die. This is ridiculous. This idiot shot my friend. I was the one who was belligerent. I was the one not complying with 2 full cans of beer in my hand. I was the one reported disorderly. And look at all these people with cell phones. Those cell phones look like weapons more than Ethan picking up his gym bag. Teddy is emotionally spent. My friend was shot and dying because he's a black guy. A big black guy at that. Teddy gets up angry, leaves the hospital, and walks home. In the ICU, the Duncans are standing around their son, whispering in his ear, "We love you. Hold on. Be strong." Stroking his arms and legs and trying to hold back their tears. The doctor comes in and introduces herself. After reviewing Ethan's chart, she explains to them, Ethan has suffered cardiac arrest and then fell into a coma. The next 24 to 48 hours are very important. The doctor's hope is the coma is allowing his body to rest while his heart muscles repair. The doctor knows that the parents want guarantees, but she can't provide any. Right now, all they can do is monitor him and wait. In the meantime, the doctor needs to get some family medical history. Mr. and Mrs. Duncan, can you tell me if there is any history of heart disease in your family? Asked the doctor. Daisy and Reginald look at each other for a moment. Well, I know his grandfather on his mother's side suffered a heart attack, informs Reginald. The doctor looks in Daisy's direction. Can you tell me what age your father was when he had his heart attack? Oh, it's not my father. Our son is adopted, explains Daisy. Oh, okay, replies the doctor. Is there anything else you know about his medical history? I have information on when his tonsils were removed and a broken thumb at age 8 playing baseball. But I don't think that's what you want, offers Daisy. Well, I think I have what we need for now. I will check back with you all later. The doctor leaves. Daisy just shakes her head in disappointment as she fixes the cover on her son's bed. She has a worried look on her face, and Reginald understands. The Duncans have been married for 34 years. They met back in dental school at the University of Maryland School of Dentistry. Both are extremely intelligent. They opened a successful dental practice, bought a nice house, and drove expensive cars. But the one thing that was missing from their life was a child. After trying unsuccessfully for 10 years, they adopted their son Ethan. Although the adoption is a legally closed adoption, Reginald and Daisy know who the biological parents were since Ethan was born. Daisy's worried look is one Reginald has seen many times. The look of not telling Ethan about or who his birth parents are, and now with the uncertainty of his prognosis, it is killing her inside. The adoption of their son was a bit convoluted at first. The Duncans had accepted the fact that they could not have children, so they focused on their dental business and worked in their communities. They would set up a mobile dental clinic in low-income areas. Their practice offered free checkups with free packages of toothpaste, toothbrushes, and dental floss. One day, a middle-aged African-American man named Leo came into the clinic for the free checkup. Afterwards, in casual conversation with the dentist, he talked about his 16-year-old daughter being pregnant, but she would not be able to take care of the baby. The father didn't want his grandchild to end up in the foster care system. Leo had personally experienced that system. Leo wanted to know if the Duncans knew of anyone who might want to adopt his grandchild. The Duncans were somewhat taken aback by the question, but they indulged Leo and indicated if they heard of anyone, they would let him know. In their minds, they didn't plan on seeing this man ever again. A couple weeks went by, and Daisy and Reginald could not stop talking about Leo and his proposal. They had so many questions. How does the daughter feel about putting her baby up for adoption? Is the father of the baby in the picture? Besides questions, they talked about different scenarios of how they might do a legal private adoption and move to another area to avoid questions. It just all seemed too complicated. The Duncans had almost forgotten about it when 3 months later, Leo arrives at another mobile clinic location sponsored by the Duncans, nearly 20 miles away from where he came the first time. The Duncans were impressed by his persistence. They asked Leo many questions and told him some of their concerns. Leo answered them all and invited them to meet his daughter at his corner store. The Duncans did just that. His daughter Jody was a 6'8", strikingly attractive young lady with a milk chocolate skin tone, curly hair, brown eyes, dimples, and an innocent smile which was so inviting. She was in her 8th month. Daisy talked with her alone while Reginald continued talking with Leo. After an hour, Daisy felt okay about the arrangement. Daisy and Reginald insisted the father of the baby be informed and present during the legal adoption with their lawyers. When the Duncans were ready to leave, Jody thanked them and offered them a bag of her favorite snack, French burnt peanuts. Reginald is watching his wife rubbing her son's head, desperately wanting him to wake up. Her tears are flowing down continuously. Blaming herself for not telling him things she wanted to, but her husband persuaded her not to. Reginald needs to give her some hope to hold on to. I promise we will tell him, the moment he is well. I will talk with him, states Reginald. She looks at her husband with a little smile, believing he means what he says this time. The moment is short-lived before she returns to the seriousness of her son's well-being. Reginald walks over to her, kisses her on the forehead, and then steps out of the ICU to check on another pressing issue. He finds a location where he can talk on his cell phone with the police to find out what caused his son's heart attack. In Chapter 21, the Duncans kept a big secret from their son Ethan. In the comments below, share your opinion about secrets. See you in Chapter 22.